So Stu, look what I've got for you.
Another 911. Fantastic.
It is a 911, it's also a GT3.
It hasn't got a wing on it. It can't be a GT3.
It is a GT3, it's a GT3 Touring. There's
wow.
not many of them around.
Is it electric?
Thankfully Porsche don't make an electric GT3, Stu.
Okay.
Let's hope they never do.
PDK?
Not a PDK, these are all manual. It's a beautiful gearbox, it's a fantastic little transmission, and but we need to see whether it drives like a GT3.
Well, that's your job. Let's go. I did actually know this wasn't an electric car. That was a joke.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't even know Porsche put out in 1967 a 911R. I knew there was an S and a T and an E, but I didn't know there was an R. So, as an homage to that, in 2016 they brought out the 911R, which was a very limited release manual gearbox.
That's right.
A souped up version of the GT3.
Yep. No wing.
Lightweight bonnet, manual gearbox only.
Yeah.
And oh boy, did that take off. That became a real hit.
Yeah, it went berserk, didn't it? People were on selling them and making hundreds of thousands, so I think that didn't go down too well with Porsche, did it?
No. So I saw one listed for over $1 million.
Yeah.
And Porsche hates that. If you flip cars, you buy them and flip them, you can get yourself blacklisted. So then they said, what can we do about that? Let's put out this car, a touring version that looks kind of like the 911R. In fact, it's very, very similar. But they didn't want to piss off the 911R owners by making it even more performance, so they produced this, which is a production line car. And they said they're not going to put limits on the numbers, but in fact, I think they only made less than 1,000 of these as well.
Yeah.
And Australia, how many did you say?
I think it's 18 in Australia, as far as we know.
Wow. So this is one of 18. And basically it's a GT3 with a manual gearbox. Little difference. There's a whole lot of little tweaks here.
Just small differences. They do look visibly different from the outside, not quite as in your face, but
a little bit more performance than a standard GT3, but not as much as the 911R.
Yeah. What is probably one of the world's best manual gearboxes in this car. It's such a joy to drive, and that little understated nature as well. It just doesn't quite stand out like the regular GT3 with a big rear wing on the back.
Particularly in this colour, which is not a colour that it came out in, but it is a standard Porsche colour, midnight blue.
Absolutely.
It's been around since the 1980s. Yeah. You saw a lot of 928s, for example, in midnight blue. But without the wing and in this dark colour, nicely understated. When you park this car and get out of it, they think, oh, he's trying to just fly under the radar a little bit.
Definitely. It's pretty harsh on that suspension, isn't it?
Okay.
Let's go to chassis normal there. We talked a bit about that.
2 modes of suspension, so going back to normal. That was pretty firm.
So yeah, when you're in sport chassis, sport suspension, it's really quite harsh on the bumps. So it's certainly great for the circuit. I think we'll be running in normal on these roads here, and it'll just be a little bit more compliant, not quite as harsh.
There's quite a lot of road noise coming through.
Yeah, a lot of road noise.
In fact, there's a lot of road noise coming through, mainly from the back. It's a dilemma with a car like this, because this is designed to be a road car, and yet how can you drive it to exploit its performance, in this country?
Yeah.
We have that problem as reviewers. We like to find roads, and you just can't give it a good flogging, and public roads will be in trouble. So you have to find really slow corners, and so that's the only way we can really evaluate a car like this. Luckily, we have exactly that coming up.
We'll have a few of those coming up, so let's give it a go.
It is lively. Yeah.
What's that sound?
Absolutely classic Porsche, isn't it? Window up.
Just initial acceleration with the manual gearbox is just a little bit better than the PDK. Hear that blip on the throttle there. Road's still a bit damp.
Oh. Yep.
Of course, you've still got those Porsche brakes. Being an old racing driver, I still go for that heel and toe myself and forget that the car's actually going to do it itself.
Yep. little bit
The
of
road's
wiggle
just
there.
a little damp there, and it just has a little squirm. We've still got stability control and traction control on.
Yep.
You just wouldn't take that off in these cars, and Porsche have tuned that to a degree. It just gives you a little bit of leeway, and it'll really only kick in if the driver's really gone over the top of the throttle. You can hear that blip there.
Yeah. Because what do you do with a car like this? Do you park it in the garage and watch it appreciate?
Well, luckily the owner is a real enthusiast and a good friend of ours, Shan. Thank you, Shan, for letting us use your amazing GT3 Touring today.
Yeah, thank you,
He
Shan.
really enjoys this car. He enjoys it on the track. I've spent time on the track in this car with him, and I've driven it on the track as well. So I've had a good comparison, but it's really interesting to drive it on the road, and you don't need to drive it, on the rev limiter all the time, but you can just enjoy the feeling of a Porsche. It's the ultimate Porsche, isn't it, in many ways?
Up the hill. Should I open the window so we can hear it? I think I will. Are these the standard seats that it came with? I mean, I know he's had them trimmed in this beautiful houndstooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no adjustment. They're you take what you're given.
They're back and forward, but they're great. I mean,
Lucky they're in the perfect position.
well, that's how Porsche build their seats, don't they?
Yeah. Very upright.
They just build them right. There's not a lot of adjustment, but really you don't need a lot of adjustment. They're set up in the correct driver's position. Just a blip on the throttle there. Feel a little bit of a squirm there.
Yeah. Can you hear it? Oh. That is really strong.
It certainly is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Car sits so flat in the corners, it's just so easy to just play with the throttle in mid-corner, adjust the balance of the car, get a bit more weight on the front. You can carry really good speed through there. Really is such a sweet gearbox, such a really good firm mechanical feel. I think one of the interesting things with the manual compared to the PDK is, we've reviewed the PDK GT3.
Yes.
A wonderful car.
There's the review right up there. So viewers, we won't repeat ourselves. If you want to see what the standard GT3 is like, we have that gorgeous white one with a PDK. So by all means watch that, and then you'll see all the specs and stuff.
It's just a little bit more responsive when it's in gear, like that initial. You can feel that. It's just got that little bit more go. Just on that initial throttle touch when it's in gear. Of course, the gear changes are slower. 0 to 100 is slower.
Yep.
But I just do think it's a little more responsive.
Because you don't have what they call the parasitic losses of the PDK.
Correct.
Although I can't criticise the PDK, and nor can you. It's just fantastic. It's just a perfect transmission. But
I guess for me, if you were, you're buying a regular GT3 to use on the track, you'll always go PDK. If you're buying a GT3 to enjoy on weekends, I think you go manual.
I have to say it is noisier than I expected it to be in road noise. The road surface change there made quite a difference, didn't it?
It does, doesn't it? It just loves smooth roads. And I believe there's a bit less sound deadening in the Touring than there is in the regular GT3.
Ah, okay.
And it's a noticeable thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, with the manual, we've got our, rev matching auto blip.
Oh, yeah.
On the downshift.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
You can hear that there. It's just absolutely superb. So if I go from 6th to 4th, it increases that blip there.
Yep.
And matches that longer duration in neutral, which is really clever.
Has it got a lift kit to lift the front up a little bit?
Yeah, we can lift the front up a bit, which you really do need to with this. I really like the steering wheel in this car, Stu. There's no buttons. There's nothing to answer the phone. It's just a beautifully crafted steering wheel.
lot harsher as a ride than some of the electric vehicles we've had lately. Compared to the Taycan though, the Taycan was smoother than this and a lot quieter.
Yeah, I think they're just built to be a bit more compliant. The Taycan is very impressive in terms of power and performance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very different kettle of fish being an EV. It's a vastly different car to drive and
Yeah.
own and run and live with. Very cool, but what would you rather see sitting in your driveway?
Well, some people you know have
GT3.
got both, don't they?
Yeah.
Every time you talk to a Taycan owner, they go, "Oh, I've still got the Carrera."
Yeah.
Why isn't that us, Mark? We've spent far more on lunch today than we make in a
right.
week.
It's not always about the money, no. It's about the pleasure. How could you not have a great time driving this car?
So what do you do for a job? Oh, we borrow people's Porsches and Ferraris and go fanging around back roads at legal speeds. Oh, really? How much do you get paid for that? Yeah, it's more a case of how much we pay.
Yeah.
But you can help us with that. If you share with your friends, like and subscribe to some of these videos. If you haven't seen the other videos, have a look. Some of them are not too bad. Oh, look out, buddy. That would have made an exciting video. Meeting a frigging dual cab who's on the wrong side of the road coming straight at you. So I thought I might buy one. So I went shopping last night and I found good news. There are 17 of them for sale. 17 GT3s. Only one GT3 Touring.
Yeah, right.
7 of them are the early 991.1 GT3s with a 3.8 motor. Yeah, they're cheap as chips. They're like start at $300,000. They're all priced in the same little bracket. That's obviously the going rate for them.
Yeah.
But then there are 10 of these later model with a 4-litre motor, and they start at around $350,000 and go to $410,000. And the most expensive of all was the GT3 Touring.
One of these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
410
It's a
grand.
premium, isn't it?
So clearly, Shen, smart man, and it's gone up in value.
Yeah.
So you've turned auto blip off this time?
Just changed some settings there. We're on slightly stiffer suspension setup. We've got a smooth road up here. Open the exhaust. It's impressive, isn't it, Stu?
Oh, third gear is just brilliant.
You've got so much torque, and when you can rev to 9,000 revs, we were nowhere near 9,000 revs then, but
Just as well.
we've got
that'd be-
so many revs to play with. Going at a second there. And the roads are still, they're a little bit damp in places. Beautiful over that bump there, isn't it? Because that really unloads most cars.
Yep.
Even the Speciale through there got quite unloaded. This turns in beautifully. That's a lovely corner there. Really off camber at the top. The Taycan was glued to the road through there, wasn't it?
It was.
Whoa.
That is ridiculous. Lovely bit of road.
Nice.
Now,
What a car, Stu.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, what can you say? I mean, these cars, these GT3s, really are pretty much the best cars in the world. They're right up there. I mean, for me, they're the top 3 or 4 cars in the world. I know the current GT3, again, is slightly better. I think these cars are a little more involving.
How much can we gush about a Porsche? You know, here's the score. Same as the other GT3 we drove. Unsurprisingly, a little bit noisier. Just in road noise coming through. But the fact that you don't have adjustment on the seat doesn't matter because it's perfect.
A couple of normal-sized old guys like us, it's perfect.
Mark, it's actually really hard to explain, but there's a real sense of connection and involvement that you get with not many cars.
No, it is. You know, it's just so tactile. The feel of the steering. You're so connected to the front wheels. The brake just gives you that superb feel. And just that feeling of powering out of a corner with Porsche GT3 in particular. Although I'm a massive PDK fan, as you know, this manual gearbox just adds another level of enjoyment to the car. And another level of connection, doesn't it? A really pure driving experience. Hard to see how it could get much better than this.
The owner of this car has been really clever. He saw what happened with the 911R, and for the same price as a standard GT3, he's ordered a limited edition model that's intentionally a bit less shouty. It's been optioned and personalised in a very smart way. Retro seat trim that harks back to the original 911R, painted by the factory in a discreet Porsche factory colour that's not one of the listed colours for this car. So that would have cost a lot, but it'll pay off, I'm sure. And then he's put a clear coat plastic wrap on it so we can take it on a long trip or to a track day, or lend it to us without having to worry about stone chips. It doesn't have some of the compromises of the 911R. That car was 50 kilos lighter than a GT3, but came with plastic windows, mega expensive carbon fibre fenders and a magnesium roof, but without air conditioning, multimedia screen, no sound deadening, not even door handles inside. Cool to own, but not very practical. You'll probably only ever see one in a collection, which is a shame. So it's a win-win, an investment car that gives heaps of driving satisfaction on a weekly basis. The one thing this reinforces to me is that it is possible to make money with a smart investment car. While Shen has no intention to sell it, he'll undoubtedly recoup his investment one day and have plenty of thrills in the meantime. So well done. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all do that? Well, maybe we can. Now, I don't have $300,000 to throw at a GT3, and I'm guessing many of you don't either. But with half, 10% or even 5% of that figure, maybe the whole principle can be repeated on a smaller scale. But with the next Cayman in 2025 due to be fully electric, I'd suggest it's probably not too late to go on the hunt, and it doesn't even have to be a Porsche. Maybe it's time to look at virtually any original condition, desirable sports car or sedan with a manual gearbox. Maybe there's an old Boxster Cayman M3, Evo or Rex with your name on it. You probably won't get as many thrills as a Porsche GT car like this one, but maybe you can get close. Some really interesting older cars coming up in the next few weeks. I'm quite excited about that. Please subscribe so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching.